Hello, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar briefing by the Jerusalem Press Club. The search for 6 security prisoners who escaped from the Gilboa Prison now enters its 4th day as solidarity riots spread across the country and in the Palestinian territories. Joining us today to analyze what has been called a security and intelligence failure by officials is former IPS Commissioner, former Israeli Prison Service Commissioner, Lieutenant General retired Orit Adato. Thank you very much for being with us, General.
Thank you for inviting me.
In your time as head of the IPS, could you have ever imagined such a doomsday scenario?
I don't think it's a doomsday scenario. I think it's a serious one, and escapes has been occurring from time to time. I'm not minimizing the responsibility, and I'm not minimizing the significance of these specific escape. But you know, first of all, the inmates, mostly the terror inmates, don't have anything to lose. So they have an unlimited time to plan and to find a way how to identify weak points and to get out of prisons. Of course, the prison service has the responsibility for preventing them from doing it, but it did happen in the past. And unfortunately, I assume that in a few years or many years, I hope as much as it will be, there will be at least an escape from a prison or from any other option that they are being kept in. So this is something that I'm not there anymore, but they have to do their best to prevent it from happening. And unfortunately, it did happen. It's not only a matter of fortune, of course. It's, yes, there are many, I would say, weaknesses regarding security, regarding intelligence, but let's look at it in a higher level, or let's say in a way that we are looking at the systematic or the system level. And the intelligence inside prison didn't know anything, which is really a problem. On the other side, what we have seen that they have a system outside. So the issue of intelligence is crossing the border or crossing the fence wall of prison. They didn't know outside as well that there is people who are preparing to assist them in doing it. So it is really something that should be checked deeply in prison service and outside in the security organization as well. This is one thing. Another thing is, well, let's look at the fact that the first words that we have heard that the commissioner should leave her position. And I've been asking my, the reporters that spoke with me, and I asked them, did you ever ask for release of the chief of staff of the IDF or the commissioner of the police when they had some problems like this and with jeopardize and with casualties? And no, they didn't. So leave it aside, let the commissioner do her work, let her organize the organization, because they don't have any time from now on to regret, to look and to go with a low moral. They have to do their best from the very first second, and they let them do it at the best way that they can do.
Okay, before we pick a little bit apart of what you said and get into a little bit more details, do you have any indication as to why the media or the public is calling for the termination of Katy Perry and not the other leadership figures you mentioned?
Do you have something to think about it? Well, I'm not trying, to lead it to the gender issue, but it's a fact. It is a fact. They haven't done it before. They are doing it now. And I'm thinking as you are thinking, or trying to find out why. And another thing is because, the prison service is the last on the line of, all the security organizations. So it is the one over there. Usually we don't want to know what's happening down there. Keep them and let us live in quiet. And we don't want to know what's going on there, not only with the terror inmates, but also with the penal inmates. So when something happened there, that's the only time when everyone is saying, oh, wow, what has happened? How come they didn't do their work, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not justifying anything. I'm not justifying. Don't be mistaken. I'm not justifying. I think there is a responsibility for organization, of course, and that's why they will investigate and will identify what were the weak points, who did not have done his or her work at the right way. That's for sure. That's I'm putting aside. But it's an organization that is very important for the state of Israel. And just now, people are looking inside.
Okay, so let's move on to what we actually do know. One of the fugitives was said to be the commander of prisoners at Gilboa, which is an interesting title in itself. What can you tell us about the level of organization that convicted terrorists are able to enjoy within the prison walls?
Let me redefine it. It's not the commander, it's the leader. They have leadership inside. In any organization, whenever you are, in social manner, there are people who are leaders and there are people who are not leaders. So in a way, everywhere in every prison, they have leaders of their own, yes. And these leaders are, mostly below surface. They are not so, they are not admitting that they are the leaders, and sometimes even if they say that someone is a leader to the authorities of the prison, it doesn't mean that he is the real leaders. There are leaders that are below the surface. So this is one thing. Yes, they do have, at the time that the prison service is managing the system, managing the prison, has intelligence, has operation, has everything, don't forget it. They do have it at the same inside. They have their, intelligence committee, informally, of course, intelligence committee, operation committee, and within the different sects of the terror organizations, I would say, below surface life inside prison. So it's not something that nobody knows. There are leaders, as they have been, or they have been in the outside, or they have grown up within prisons. They are sitting there years for years. So it's naturally that it brings some people to be leaders.
Okay, you wrote in the past that separating different levels of terrorists can actually prevent radicalization. But we see now that this particular group grew so strong that they were able to pull off such a daring escape. Do you still feel the same way?
Well, you are referring to something that I've written, I think about 18 or 17 years ago. Yes, I do believe until now that in advance, if we would have separated them to at least three levels, the ultra terror side, and put them in the minimum condition in their prison life, just by the Geneva Convention. And on the other side, take those that I call them, small fishes, that some of them, and the minor, not those that has been escaped, those that has been escaped are from the worst group. But on the other side, I think that about one third are small fishes Some of them didn't do what they have done because of a cause, but because they have been paid or they have some problems, personal problems, and they did. When you are keeping them all together, they are studying from each other. When you can divide them into 3 groups, and the light group will go through a process that at the end of the day, maybe they will be considered as penal inmates and not terror inmates, so they will not be influenced by the others. The heavy terrorists will be considered as such, and their condition of imprisonment will be, as I said, the same. So the group in the middle that were aware of what they have been doing, of course, but they are not so strong, they will look to this side or the other side, and they will decide what fits them. Maybe if I will declare and decide that it was not such important for me, and I can go to a prison that can do some other things and maybe even pre-released later on, they would have to choose. But I don't know them exactly now, but I can tell you that I would have divide them into 3 groups, and I think it would increase security, because those that are in prison for, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years will not study, will not indoctrinate by the others. When they will be released, they will be less connected to the terror organization than they are now. But it will not prevent escapes. They will be always trying to escape. It has happened in the past. That's life.
Is it so incomprehensible that there is in-cell surveillance that would have actually been able to detect, the attempts to dig the tunnel and that kind of thing?
There is everything. Let's say there is tools, there is regulations, there is rules that if you are doing this, if you are following it as it is, it won't happen. But the routine is a problem. Routine goes, and the staff, when they are acting in a routine, sometimes they are not able to identify minor changes, very small minor changes. And as I said before, and I will quote a quotation in Arabic that said, "Al-ajal min ash-shaitan," meaning being in a hurry, rushing, it belongs to the Satan, to the devil, meaning they have all the time. They don't have to hurry. They can do it within a year, 2 years, 3 years, day by day. That's something that the routine assists them in. If you are not alert enough, and to keep a system alert all the time, you have to supervise, you have to do, to come and supervise and do drills and do that. I'm sure that they have done, but from time to time, things are being neglected. And from time to time, one neglected here and a small one over there. At the end of the day, they are utilizing everything. They know everything that is going on in prison. They watch everything. They watch the shifts. They watch the guarding towers. They know what's going on in prison. They are there for years. So the idea of shifting them now is one of the ways to control them, to prevent them from planning, to mobilize them between prisons. That's something that they are doing all the time, but sometimes maybe it's too long.
Okay, and you mentioned assistance from the outside, perhaps in breaking out of the prison in the first place, but also in terms of helping the fugitives find shelter over the last few days. Can IPS do more to limit their interaction with the extended terror networks in the outside?
How they keep their interaction with the outside? That's the question. So let's begin with the fact that they have lawyers that are visiting them, and within the meeting, you are not able to listen to and to watch what they are doing. Watch, yes, but not listen to what they are saying to each other. So information can go from place to place, inside, outside. That's one thing. The other thing, which is an international challenge, is the mobile phones that are being smuggled into prison. And here I want to get to another point, which is the, I would say, the level above the prison service, above the professional, the political level, that has broader spectrum of interests and knowledge of what is relevant here and then. And sometimes the issue of changing or I'm trying to be very, careful, but I would say that for example, the issue of mobile phones, the solution for that is the technologies that prevent them from speaking from inside prisons. They have done a lot of noise against it, even though it is smuggling against the law mobile phones into prison. And they has done a lot of protests and inside and outside prison against it. At the end of the day, the decision, the political decision was to put public phones for them, which has never been until the last, I think, 2 or 3 years, has never been before. So they would accept putting the technology that will prevent them from using smuggled mobile phone. So when you are looking at it, it doesn't make sense. Sometimes because of other, I would say, consideration of what will be the implication outside of prison, you are being channeled in a way to keep some quiet here, there, don't make some, because it is connected. Of course, when there will be problems in prison, there will be outside as well. But this is the way it is. We, as a state, a strong state with a strong military, strong security organization, should be able to achieve and to confront these challenges. And stop frightening ourselves or always saying if they will make some riots in prison, it will influence on the outside, on the Palestinian street. Yes, it will. So what? Because of that, we will let them to do what they want to do? No, it's a balance. It's a very gentle balance that has to be kept between the different organization and the policy, of course.
So as to those riots that you mentioned now, how has the IPS been dealing with the riots that ensued, in solidarity? We saw fires happening inside some of the prisons. How do they deal with that?
The prison service is trained to deal with these riots and with these fires and everything. It's not, again, it's not the first time, it's not the last time. It happens all around the world. It's not unique to Israel, of course. And they are drilled. You have seen them, I think, yesterday with the suits, the specific suit for the fire, and they have special forces that can deal. Of course, and you have seen it has been contained very soon. Within a few less than few hours, everything went. And of course, they are listening to all the media. They are listening to everything. So if one would say from outside, don't do that because it will influence on the outside, of course they will do it. Of course they will do it. So what I'm saying is that the different security organizations should be more, I would say, integrated in one cause and not looking at what's going on there, and don't do that because it will inflict. Yes, it will inflict. And sometimes when there is a special information, of course you have to do it, you have to prevent something from happening, okay. But let each of these organizations do its own professional work. They know what they're doing. It's a profession. Being a prison officer is a profession, and they are trained for it.
Of course. Moving on to the West Bank, actually, the holiday lockdown was extended following the estimates that 4 of the fugitives had escaped to the Palestinian territories. Do you think this move will help, and how long can it continue given the fact that the Jewish holidays will resume next week? So there can't be an infinite lockdown the entire month. What are your thoughts?
Of course, it will be open sometimes, as it has been in the past. It's not only escapees. Sometimes there is a terror occasion that happened, and then they are trying to catch those people. It's the same. When they are outside, it doesn't matter if they got there because they escaped or they got there because they are there. So the way to find the relevant intelligence information and to act according to that is important, of course. And it has to be dealt with no any connection to the fact that they has escaped. This is one thing. The other thing, I cannot ignore the fact that the escape has brought up the morality around in the Palestinian territories, because it's an achievement for them. It's an achievement. Okay, so let's consider what it means. There will be a bit more of confrontation, yes, maybe, but the way to deal with the escapees is the same way to deal with terrorists that has done something outside of prison, so outside around the society. It doesn't matter. You have to catch them or to confront them, and maybe they might be killed in a situation, but their job is to catch them up. Of course, the security organization and the defense, of course, the IDF.
Okay, you mentioned that the protocols are in place, they exist, the apparatus exists, and the problem is really a routine and how routine impacts the actual prison workers. Do you think this incident will significantly change anything, if not the protocol, but the implementation of the protocol? What have we learned from this?
I'm sure it will change things, because this is really a crisis, a huge crisis in the IPS. And even though 99% of what they are doing was efficient until now, even the 1% that brought that result was not quite the way it should have been. So they will identify weak points, not only this one. I'm sure that they will go deep down in all prisons to find out different, maybe new, maybe renew of weak points and how to deal with it. And regulation might be changed a little bit, the protocol might be changed a little bit. Always when you're doing such an investigation, you find lakes here and there, or something that is lacking from the protocol. But believe me one thing, there isn't a protocol anywhere in the world that can cover any option of an inmate trying to find a way to escape. Nothing can be covered 100%. It doesn't work like this. But you have to be alert enough to identify what I call tension indicators. It doesn't have to be tension, but indicators, intelligence indicators. That's why there is intelligence in prison service. So they would be able to identify minor, very minor changes in behavior, in things that happening. So they will put the flag and say, keep the flag up and say, something is going on. That's what they have to do. And I think they would have to revise their way of how they are working and add some more, not only regulation, but more points to what they are looking for, so they will be able to prevent things from happening next time.
Okay, well, I hope the next time we speak, everybody will have been caught already.
Yeah.
Lieutenant General retired Orit Adato, former commissioner of the Israeli Prison Service. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that briefing by the Jerusalem Press Club. If you did, like the video and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our future content.